Hello everyone, welcome. In this video, let's keep talking about unconventional approaches to the start point. And the move I'll introduce is right here, this attachment underneath. Of course, with each start point, there are two directions you can make this move, here or here, right? But the direction matters. So this move is unconventional, but it is a legitimate move. It does exist, but it is situational. So when is the situation in which you might want to try this move? If you play from this side, right, the left side, it's usually when white has some kind of influence here on the lower left, but most likely below the start point. If white already has stones above the start point, let's say if it's something like this already, at the start point or above the start point, then this is not a good move, even though you might want to come into the left side and destroy some of white's territory. But because after these exchanges, black cannot extend comfortably and will be under attack immediately. However, if say number 10 is right here, then this will be a better move. Or if number 10 is below the start point, where black now can comfortably extend a two-space extension here on the left side. This is much better for black. So usually when white has something going on the lower left, and black doesn't really want to give white more influence to work with by playing the 3-3 invasion. Or if you play here, then it gives white even more choices on how to respond. White can respond simply by again playing this, or play something like this. So you're really giving white a whole lot of choices on where to play next, right? But the advantage of this attachment is that it really only gives white two choices. One is to hane at the 3-3 point, pushing black out to the side. And the other choice is for white to kind of give up the corner, allow black to live. But in this way, white is preserving its own influence on the left side, right? So this is another viable Joseki that we're going to learn. So in this video, let's talk about this hane first. And the only viable move at this point for black is right here. We'll talk about some of these other moves that are not viable. And now white has two choices. One is to connect, and the other is to stand down, right? White cannot take sente because the cut is really harsh. Take a pincer here, and after cutting here, these two stones will be in trouble, especially number 6. So white must take care of this cutting point. If you connect, then it's relatively simple. Black will just extend on the left side, and the Joseki is over. So why is it viable for both sides? You might like black in this situation, right? Because we said black played from this direction because the left side is more important. Black wants to come into the left side and build a base here because white has some kind of influence on the lower left. But how can white be happy about this shape? The reason why white is happy is first, this is a very good way to preserve the corner and to settle into a living shape. Because this shape is basically alive. There's just no way for black to attack it. Black cannot come into the corner after 6 and 8. Right? And as we saw previously in some of these other Josekis, if you play a pincer, of course you might be under attack yourself, but white, just playing conservatively, it can live with number 10. This is already a living shape. So white is already settled, and that's actually really good. And if white already has influence on the lower left, it can play this pincer, and black is not 100% alive. So that's one option for white, playing this pincer, limiting black, and putting some pressure on black. Of course, another big move is right here. It's a big move for both sides. White can play here to develop influence toward the upper side, and black can play here to finish this shape. Now this shape is much stronger, but again, this stone is not putting much pressure on this group on the corner because white is already alive. So this is a big move after the Joseki, but of course when the board is still empty like this, the corner closers, the approaches, the 3-3 invasions are more valuable than this move. Now what about this standing down? It's a really harsh move. So if black still plays something like this, then in the future, let's say there's a pincer, then the ice space is really not secure, right? White can potentially put more pressure on black this way. And black doesn't really want to play something like this. Number 11, 12, this is really just solidifying more territory for white. and is not necessarily helping black. Right? You can come out like this, but just know that the I space down here with number 8, it's basically non-existent. White can come in very easily and take the I space. So how should black respond? There are two ways for black to respond. One is to play right here. It's a really interesting move. As you can see, white can push and cut and kill these two stones. And that's exactly what black wants white to do. Why? Because after all these exchanges, number 8 is a wasted move. It's really useless. It's not doing much. And that's why this pattern actually favors black if white just pushes and cuts. Black has moves on the outside like this, threatening this cut. So white will probably have to play something like this. And of course, in the future, black has this move as well. Right? And white's shape is really redundant. Of course, many points on the corner, but number 8 is completely wasted. So that's one way to go. The idea is that once black moves out, number 8 on the second line will be a slow move. And what's even better is that if black sacrifices these two stones, number 8 will also be redundant and even useless. So that's why giving up these two stones and getting a wall on the outside is a good idea for black. And if white plays from this side, then black has all kinds of moves, things like this to play to finish out its shape. And again, number 8 is a big endgame move, but it's not that efficient. Another way for black to play is to simply extend a little farther. So if white invests a move invading black, now black can pull out. If white plays here, now black can just play from the top. And black will be okay as long as you stay on top of white. If white jumps out, then there's nothing to be afraid of, right? Black is out, white is out, it'll be a fight. And again, number 8, not doing that much. It's kind of keeping white alive, but it's not putting that much pressure on black, right? Because there's no I space after 10 and 12. There's nothing to threaten. These are two ways to deal with really harsh move, kind of deflecting the harshness of number 8 right here. So that's number 8. What about alternative moves for number 7 in this situation? None of them is viable. You might be thinking about this cut. It's a cross cut. I'm sure lots of beginners and Q players want to try this. And the advice you've been getting as white in this situation is to extend from one side, which works, right? It preserves the corner and it makes sure that 5 or 7 will be dead, right? If black saves number 7, then number 5 will be dead this way. If white saves number 5, then number 7 will be dead this way. And black's Atari moves will not work, right? It's the same situation. Black will have to save one of these two stones. So it works, but it's not the best actually. The best move in this situation, when it's in the corner like this, is for white to simply Atari twice, right? So black must stand down here the first time, and the second time black has a choice. Black can either Atari on the outside and play something like this. This is the best black can do. And this favors white, right? Because as we said, if you play this move from the left side, that means the left side is important to you, but now white has another wall here and can potentially build even more influence on the left side. So this is not great for black. If you stand down here, now white will just play one of these two moves, right? Threatening to kill black. And it depends on the situation elsewhere on the board, right? So it's going to get to this pattern basically. Now it's probably not worth it for black to play like this. This is even better for white compared with the previous variation. So black will probably have to Atari here and capture number 10, right? White cannot play this. Otherwise, black will take the corner. White will probably just take care of these two stones and black can capture. You'd say it's a panuki, very valuable for black, but not really. Now, black can still be under attack if white plays the pincer, right? If you want to live this way, it's way too small. Probably not worth it to play this exchange. You're solidifying white's position. So black will have to escape. And in the future, if white wants to trigger a fight, it has all kinds of moves to eliminate black's I space down here. So this could potentially be harsh, and this clearly favors white. And that is why number 7, this crosscut, is not a viable move. What about this hane? Normally these are good moves, but in this situation, when white hanes from the 3-3 points, it doesn't work, because after number 8 and 9 and 10, black can only live on the second line like this. This is the best black can do to live, There are other stones outside that maybe black can cut and give up the corner and try to build a wall on the outside, but it'd be much harder to pull it off. So this is not viable for black because white can simply push black to the second line and into the corner, and it's simply too small for black. This move does not exist, right? It's simply in the wrong direction. You're extending in the wrong direction. White can just connect. And this is already much worse for black than this exchange, right? So standing down here does not exist. It's probably the worst move. And lastly, we can briefly talk about this move. It can potentially get really complicated. I used AI to figure it out, and you can use AI too to see what happens. Suggested moves might change depending on the board position, on the circumstances on the upper side, on the left side. But the idea, of course, if you want to play simply, just connect. It'll be something like this, which is one variation I didn't mention when we got to this, right? So number 9 could be here, theoretically, but if the left side is important, then white can pincer here, and now black can only jump. It'll be something like this. So it's situational again. There might be situations where black might want to play this way, but if the left side is pretty open, I would say you should still just build a base here. So this will kind of go back to the variation we just saw, and it's one way for white to play, right? Very simple. A more aggressive way for white to play is to cut here. This Atari, black extends. White will want to push black towards the corner, and black must play this Atari and Atari again, and to extend liberties, right? So now 4 liberties. White will capture number 11 for now. So now it seems pretty hopeless for black, but black actually has this move that's potentially really good, but also super complicated. So the idea is that, of course, white can play something like this, but black would just build a wall on the outside. So it might be worth it for black to sacrifice these 4 stones on the corner. Then it's also possible for white to play this attachment underneath. It would be something like this. Of course, there might be a ko that you can trigger. It would be a very big ko. Or if white wants to play more peacefully, it can allow black to escape this way. Black is okay for now. Black has half a real eye on the corner, half a real eye here. White will probably want to play some move here, and black can escape towards the center. But again, it will be potentially very complicated, and will most likely favor white. So that is why number 7 here is not the optimal move for black. The only viable move in this situation, especially for beginners and Q players and most done players, is right here. This extension, white connect here, step down here, connects here. This is our basic variation for this video. Black will play this extension. In the next video, I'll talk about some other variations stemming from the attachment underneath. So please stay tuned. Thank you for watching.